Good morning, I hope. We are trying very hard to keep our head above water this morning. It's all gone reasonably well so far. Hope I'm not going to bugger it up in the last little session. But we should be having Dr. Mark Mabey come into the studio in a minute or two. And he is one of the, really, in education terms, one of the great innovators. Let's see whether we can actually take away the hide bit and try to clear the screen for him. There we go. I'm here, and hopefully he'll be here in just a minute or two. Let us just take a moment, a pause, to say thank you to Declan, who is the very genial host of the Black Horse Pub. It's a lovely pub, a very old-fashioned pub, nicely beaten around the ears. It's got a wonderful staff, and generally speaking, you're made to feel extremely welcome. But I tell you, the food is good. But the disappointing thing is that there is no Sunday lunch this Sunday. I don't know what I'm going to do. I haven't figured it out because the chef that they've had for some time now has left, and the new chef doesn't get here until Wednesday. So he's got to have a little while to shape his Yorkshire puddings. What about Yorkshire pudding, my dear chap? Do you like Yorkshire pudding?
I love Yorkshire pudding, Keith. Nothing better. With nice gravy in the middle of it.
Well, when you're down here, we must come to lunch here, Sunday lunch here, because they do one of the best that I've come across. Very, very good. Oh, excellent.
Sounds wonderful.
How are you anyway? I'm sorry that we missed you out on Wednesday.
That's all right, Keith. No problem at all. How are you feeling now?
I'm okay today, so I hope, and anything that I've read, the words have come out the way that they should. In fact, if anything, I'm reading rather better than I have recently. And I must say that in a funny sort of way, we were very, very happy at the White Hart. And indeed, the fact that Tom Paine was hanging over us almost on a daily basis. Well, he was on a daily basis. It was exciting in the extreme, but we refreshed and rejuvenated coming into this pub, which is also one of the oldest in Lewes. I think it was 1840 or 1850 that this pub was built and founded. So it's had a good run for its money, and it's still serving a decent pint and certainly very good food, and it's got a great landlord.
Fantastic. I like your style, Keith, that you always manage to find a really good hostelry to spend your Monday to Friday in. So you get your excellent pint of bitter, and I'm sat here with a glass of lemonade. So
oh my goodness me! Well, I have to say that having this bar behind me and having a key to the premises is a very tempting. But I'm playing the field.
You're doing it well, are you, Keith?
I'm holding my thirst. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Perhaps someone will come in the next sort of 10 minutes and pour you a nice pint.
Well, maybe. Yeah, I'm not holding my breath just yet. I think that I'm not sure whether they open at 11 or 12. If they open at 11, then probably somebody will come through the door very shortly. If they open at 12, I think I've got another hour of my tongue hanging out. But anyway, I'm glad that I'm sharing my tongue hanging out with you because
me too.
What a lovely room that you're in. Where are you?
Yes, I'm actually my mum's not very well, so I'm staying with her at the moment, and she's got a beautiful cottage in a little village called Betley, which is in Cheshire. And yes, it's built in about 1855. So I thought it was a bit like the White Hart with the beams.
It is, yeah. It looks lovely.
Yeah, it's very nice.
That's her little cottage, is it?
Yes, nice little cottage just with a nice little garden at the back and things. It's sort of down the little path, so it's very nice. I've sort of come here for a few days holiday, but a bit of looking after too. So, but I've got a couple of things I want to test you on, Keith. I found a few things. This is my grandfather's. What do you think that is, Keith?
Snuff box.
Close. It's,
but not close enough.
A Vesta. Matches in there. Strike it on the bottom.
Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, I do remember those. Yeah.
And then we progressed into these things. Do you remember these things?
The lighter, indeed. Yeah,
the lighter. They've also. It's a thing of the past, isn't it?
It is.
I went down to my local pub and took the Vespa and said to a couple of young guys, "What do you think that is?" And they said, "Oh, it's beautiful." And everyone's actually said a snuff box, but actually it's a really big, beautiful Vespa.
Matching, yes. Do you remember that particularly? I can remember my great uncle Jack, who smoked a pipe, keeping spills by the fire.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't think anybody knows what a spill is anymore.
I don't think anyone knows what a spill is. No, in fact, you don't see that many people smoking pipes these days, do you, Keith?
No, you don't. In fact, I noticed that there are 2 or 3 people of my acquaintance who actually smoke the pipe, but they don't smoke the pipe, if you know what I mean. It makes them look very academic. Yes.
Well, my grandfather used to smoke. I remember, that's why I remember this Vespa, because he'd load this pipe, and then there'd be this bellowing smoke coming out the top of it, and it just stunk the whole room out. And you used to sort of look through a smog to see him and say, "Hello, Grandad, how are you?"
Yes. Do you remember getting on the top of a bus?
Oh yeah, very good.
I mean, first thing in the morning, you couldn't see a face in front of you. Everybody, you were only allowed to smoke on the top of the bus.
That's right. Yeah,
that just filled with smoke. Yeah,
absolutely. But it was equally ridiculous. I used to work when I was about 17. I worked in a pub very much like the one you're in, and it had a public bar and a lounge bar, saloon bar, and you could smoke in the public bar, but you couldn't smoke in the saloon bar. But they were the same room.
Well, now, as you know, I spent my formative youth in Canada, and they in those days, I mean, it's quite different now. They move with the times, but in those days, they had what were called beer parlors, and they were a big room divided by a divider, and the one was for men, and then the other was for ladies and escorts only. So at university, you used to go down and you used to have to go into the men's side and then jump up to see whether you could see over and see if there was any young lady there that you knew, so you could go next door.
That's great. Yeah, that's a great one. It's a good chat up line too, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just saw you across a smoky bar. I found this. I felt like Sherlock Holmes. I found this at my mum's.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, remember those before the good old glasses? Terrifying.
Indeed.
Yeah, they're amazing. Really.
As a matter of fact, I mean, I had 2 cataracts, I think they're called, removed from my eyes. And now I find that reading the very tiny print on things, it can be a bit difficult. I actually was looking for one of those. Whether I will find one on eBay or not, I don't know. But it's amazing how some old things become useful when modern technology can't help you.
Absolutely. And this is really powerful. It must magnify I can see the letters on my keyboard, and it must magnify them at least 5 or 6 times. So as you say, small print with this, you would magnify 5 times, and I remember grandfather also, he had cataracts, and they didn't really know how to treat them then, but he used to use this thing and just sort of scan it across the page like this. And but yeah, amazing. I'll let you have this one, Keith.
Yeah, right.
I'll donate it to you to go into good hands.
I really think that it's great of you to find these things, Mark. I've been talking to all our colleagues on the station, but some viewers as well, and they really enjoy you coming up with these things which we took for granted in our day, and now younger set have no idea what they are. None. If it's not a phone with some gum on it, so stick to their ear, they've had it.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we've said a number of times, Keith. I'm developing this school of innovation, but actually, in its time, this was proper innovation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this was proper innovation, where you struck the match on the bottom of this, and was the precursor to the matchbox, really. But a beautiful piece of jewelry too.
Yes. Well, of course, there was a day when the match was an innovation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How they used to light things with the flint.
Flint, yes, the flint. And
weren't in fact the early guns called flintlocks?
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's, but I think that it's good. I like collecting these things because I think it makes people think about how clever things were 150 years ago. Because everyone thinks we're very clever now, and we've got all this computer stuff, and we've got iPhones and all this malarkey. But actually, the technology that went into some of these bits, I think I've shown you my grandfather's pocket watch.
Yes.
When you look at the workings of this little pocket watch, it's quite amazing. It just runs on. You can hear it ticking. It just runs on some cogs and springs, and in its time, it was such innovation. And now, of course, how many people have a watch they wind up? Everyone has a watch that's got a battery in it, or even now these wretched. I keep seeing these people with these black squares on their thing. I thought they got a disease, but they've got an iPhone on their wrist. I couldn't think of anything worse than picking my email.
I can't either. Do you remember the cartoon of Dick Tracy, the detective? Yeah, I mean, he used to have, and it used to have an arrow that pointed to it. Wristwatch, two-way wristwatch. And in those days, it was beyond belief. Nobody would ever have a two-way wristwatch.
No, and now I see people. They pick up their emails on their wristwatch, and I think it's actually quite good. I've started this thing of turning all my technology off at about 6 o'clock at night, phones and all that, because I think you need. I've been saying to my daughter, she's 29, and she's constantly on her phone, and I was saying to her, if you just shut it off for a few hours, it's really relaxing. No one can contact you.
Yes.
We're constantly 24/7, aren't we? You really, Keith, have done amazingly well with emails and all that. You reply really quickly to me, etc. But you won't really get me sending emails at sort of 10 o'clock at night. And
what I can't do is find my damn phone. I hear it ringing and I can't remember where I put it.
Yeah, mine's the same. It's either slipped under the chair. And if I've had a couple of whiskeys, it seems to have slipped even further under the chair.
The other thing is damn passwords.
Oh yeah.
I mean, first of all, I can never remember mine, and secondly, it asks an inordinate number of times. Technology is great, but I watch people when I travel on the bus. I watch people, and they can now pay on the bus with their phone. Yeah, it takes them twice as long as just slapping a card on.
Yeah, absolutely. Or using a good old thing called cash. Not that many people use. The buses in Stoke, I don't think take cash anymore. I think you've got to use a card on them. The other thing that's like you, I often can't remember the numbers to my card for getting cash out of the machine. And here in Stoke-on-Trent now, there's only one bank left. There's no other banks in Stoke. So there's a Lloyds Bank, Barclays is shut, NatWest is shut. They've all shut. So if you want to go and get some money out, what do you do?
Yeah. It's the same here. We've only got one bank left, and it's only a matter of time before that goes.
Yeah. Exactly.
But there are certain things that you can't do unless you've got coins, or and they're the sort of things that I mean, first of all, you can't tip a barmaid.
No, exactly.
I mean, they must have suffered, because if you do it on your card, you can't sort of give well, look, just take the change.
Yeah, no.
You've got to go to 2 or 3 quid. Yeah.
Now, I remember when I worked in a bar, I made more money. Not that I'm very good looking, but I made more money in tips than I did in my wages.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because people would say, "Oh, keep the change," and it might only be 10p. But when you mount those 10p's up, it soon goes into £1 and £10, and you can't do that. But I don't know. Also, Keith, we've got quite a big market in the town, and people used to take their cash at the end of the day to the bank, didn't they, and cash up?
Yes, that's right.
What do they do now? It's a mystery, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, actually, we have some markets here, particularly where you get fresh fruit, and very good it is too, and very nice the blokes are. But I never feel that I should use a card for that sort of street trading, and yet they've got these little gizmos. Oh no, that's fine. Yeah.
No, I'm a bit old fashioned. I still carry cash, and I pay quite regularly. Even in the pub, I go to we've got a really good Weatherspoons in Stoke, and I frequent that, the Wheatsheaf. I frequent that quite regularly, and there's most probably a handful of us, all in our 60s and 70s, that do cash. But you see young people, all they've got is this thing.
Yeah.
They just use that against the machine, and it's very it's good. It's once again innovation, isn't it, Keith? It's a time of change, and if we were sitting here in 10 years' time, I expect there won't be any. We'll be a totally cashless society.
I just think that there's got to be a wee bit of caution. Is don't throw everything out, because we may be throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that innovation actually does is it stops people talking to each other.
Yeah. Exactly.
And if, in fact, for the sake of being able to slap a phone onto another phone and pay for something, it's going to mean that we're turning out a bunch of people who are inarticulate. Then is that the right and proper price to pay?
Yeah. Well, I think I told you the story a couple of weeks ago. I went out for a meal to a nice little Italian restaurant. There were young couples sat next to me, a young lady and a guy, most probably in their mid-20s. And I was in the restaurant most probably for about 2 hours, and they didn't speak to each other once. They were just on these things. Yeah. And the person I was with, I said, "Do you think they're saying, do you want a coffee? Shall we have a brandy?" And they just didn't talk. And I thought, what's this? If you go out for a meal, surely that's about having a discussion.
Why do you go out?
I sit down with your phone. But it was just, I've never been anywhere where there was, I say, that I thought perhaps they lost their voices, but as they got up, they said thank you to the waiter. But to each other, they didn't talk for 2 solid hours.
Yes. Do you think they knew what they had?
No, I don't. Maybe they didn't know each other. Maybe it was that. It's getting old like me. Getting old like me, I forget where I am sometimes, Keith.
Now, let's keep talking about innovation. Where are we with the university?
Yeah, things looking good. We're starting to put together some paperwork for. All universities now have to produce something called an action and participation plan, which is basically which is really good. It's about diversifying opportunities for people to go to university, which is really all the School of Innovation is about. So we're doing that. Young Will, who's the young guy that I'm working with, he's in the States at the moment, drumming up another investor who's very interested. It's very interesting that people are willing to put quite significant sums of money, hundreds of thousands of pounds, into this project, and they obviously see that there is a future for it.
Yes.
Not that interesting enough, it's not. We're going to run it as a not-for-profit organisation, so it's not like some of the private universities that are doing it for profit. We'll be running it not for profit. We'll be putting the money back into bursaries, so that students don't have to take these big student loans out, but they'll actually be able to get a bursary when they come along. And as I said before, we'll be expecting that most of them will be working anyway. So
Yes.
we're looking at running sessions. I like the idea of running sessions in the pub. That particularly attracts me. But
Absolutely.
running on weekends, as I've said before, and evenings where if it's a couple and they've got young children, the spouse can look after the children while the other person does the course, etc. So really having something that's very flexible, that's very work based. All of the assignments will be not sort of not massive research, but it'll all be in the workplace. So I think you and I could do a really good one on the fermentation of real ales, couldn't we?
Oh, I think that would be a splendid one. A splendid one. Mark, you said there you're not like other universities, but as I've looked around, I've talked to people now, I can't find anybody who's doing what you're doing.
No, that's why I was so interested when I heard about this, and a lot of them aren't. I think I said that there are some other universities like Dyson has set a university up in London, but it's still got traditional lecture theatres, and it's still got students doing lectures, and although there's engineering involved in it, it's still very much in a lab at the university, whereas we're wanting people to go out into industry and do their work and do their assignments in the workplace.
Well, one of the innovations that I'm anxious to re-establish with Mirador, because we did have it prior to lockdown, but then the finances took a hit and we had to postpone it. But is to go back on our streaming platform, which means that Mirador would have, instead of a sort of access to, I don't know, 15, 20,000 people, is take a wild guess at how many?
Millions, I suspect.
174 million.
Unbelievable.
Now, you see, my mind starts to work. How can we be innovative? How can we put that to use with the new university?
Yeah.
Because, here you've got your young colleagues off in the States talking to people and finding a lot of interest. Is, my goodness me, how wonderful for us to be able to talk to millions more and let them know what's going on and so on. Because I personally think that this idea is a fantastic one, and that it's going to catch on in a very, very big way. And to have the outlet. So I'm working hard for us to find the pennies to get that going again. And then I think that we talk seriously about even at a very early stage, as we start taking your university. Listen to me. I think we start taking
our university, Keith,
into all four corners of the earth. Which is what we can do. Wherever there's a television screen, there we'll be.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and I think that we're very lucky to have partnered up with you, and you very kindly, if you haven't forgotten, agreed to be on the new university board of directors, which will be fantastic. And I think that's the other bit of innovation, is that at one time everyone used to come into a university. Very few things were done online. Now, with, as you say, with the use of streaming and advanced technologies, there's no reason why we couldn't be teaching and doing things throughout the world.
Exactly, and indeed, perhaps inviting people sympathetic to our cause to come on and speak to our students.
Yeah, exactly, and it's sort of, it's borderless, isn't it? It's sort of borderless that anybody could come on and make a contribution, etc. And actually, once again, the expense of bringing people into an organization is often a big cost. So if you wanted somebody eminent from the United States, from Utah, for example, if you've got to fly them all the way across here, but if they can just do it online, and it's very interactive. We could get international.
And one of the things that, I mean, you've been around the world, I've been around the world, and we're just the sort of people that actually establish good contacts, and they stay with us for life.
Yeah.
I mean, it just off the top of my head, and let's forget that there is a war going on between Ukraine and Russia. One of the delightful people that I trained a number of years ago was Sophie Shevardnadze. Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah, it does.
Indeed. I mean, she actually described to me being in the governor's mansion in Georgia when her grandfather, Edward, and the family were attacked. And she said she can remember as the mob came in through the front door of the mansion, she was hustled out with the family into helicopters in the back door. That sort of experience, it doesn't happen, does it? Yes, it does.
It does. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's fantastic. Yeah, and I'm the same as you. I got some really great advice about 30 years ago from a very fine man called Professor John Coyne, who ended up being the University of Derby's vice chancellor. But he said to me when I was at De Montfort University, Mark, I'll give you one bit of advice: be nice to people. He said, because if you're not higher education is a very small world, and if you're not nice to people, it'll come back and it'll bite you on the arse. And how true he is. A lot of my contacts now are very senior, a bit like yours, are people I've dealt with over 20, 30 years. And when I send them an email, it's very rare that people say no. Like you, Keith, people say, yes, we'd love to be involved. Right. And but if you aren't courteous to people and polite, but it goes goes all the way back to what we were saying at the beginning, Keith. It's all about communication, and you can't do it all on this thing.
No, that's right. I mean, actually, is a face-to-face with some of the people that, I mean, is people interested in law. I start to think of, our two barristers, first of all, who were on earlier this morning. I mean, they're fantastic. But, Richard comes on, and what did they discuss this morning? Cricket and the Bodyline series, right? And yet here he is a much sought after barrister. He's one of the leading barristers in the country. A very modest sort of chap. All I've got to say is, Richard, would you speak to this group of students? And he would, of course, Fantastic. And we've got a wonderful resource. Your young men are doing a great job in getting the finances and the concept and so on and so forth. I think we can bring real assets to the table.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic, exciting opportunity, and something that's worth just pushing. It will take a little bit of time to come to fruition, maybe a year, but it will be good. And I'm very keen that we discussed earlier that once we've established something, that we might have this satellite in Lewis.
Absolutely.
So that we can really start to build it from that, so that Miracle TV and Lewis is central to the development of this new university.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be lovely for the innovation to be Lewis to be the first satellite.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I really think is very good from our point of view, Mark, is that we are in on the ground floor, and we are following every inch of the way what the young men are doing, what you're doing, and so on and so forth. And the fact of the matter is I now sometimes I sit down and my relaxation is playing with my N-gauge railway, which I can just get on a tabletop. As a matter of fact, it's got quite a history, this railway, because I took it to Kosovo with me. And I laid it out on my coffee table in my office. And anybody who came through the door had to pay €2 to do a circuit. And I said that it was the very first privatized operation in Kosovo.
That's fantastic, Keith. Yeah.
But that's what I'm thinking. And I sometimes find myself thinking about this project. You know, it's beginning to excite me
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah. I think but even your engage is innovation, isn't it? You know, you think of that, and you know how they work and the mechanics of it and things.
Absolutely incredible.
But you see,
Absolutely.
that was very innovative and enterprising of you, Keith, to privatise your model railway.
It's not making much money at the moment. I'm going to have to do a bit more advertising.
Yeah, we need to promote it.
Now, your young men are in the United States at the moment, because we are going to try and get them on so that they can have a chat to us direct, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to try in the next couple of weeks to get them both on. The one lad called Will, the other guy called Will Hill, and Rob Pickershaw. I said they're very interesting guys. Will was the one that came up with this concept. He had, which he'll talk about, but he had quite a serious heart defect when he was about 16, which really affected him going to school, etc. And he never had the opportunity to go to university and didn't want to go. And then Rob is sort of the reverse in many ways. Rob graduated with a first class honours degree in mathematics, applied mathematics from Edinburgh University. But together they make a fantastic team. They're only in their early 20s, but they're very dynamic. And for an old codger like me, it keeps me on my toes, and it's great. I'm belated. I'm not so keen on the travelling and things now, so they go and do that, and I can sit here and talk to you, which is much more pleasant than your viewers.
But you can do one thing that they can't do, is you can show them a fountain pen.
I can show them a fountain pen. I can, and I can sign a letter with it.
Actually, strangely enough, in Lewis, I interviewed him about a year ago. I've known him for almost all my entire life in Lewis, which is what, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, is the former managing director of Parker Pens.
Oh, wow.
And is he an interesting character, I'll tell you.
Wow, yeah. Parker was the creme de la creme, wasn't it? It was
the premier fountain pen. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I showed it. I haven't got it here, but I got a bit of money once, and I bought myself. I think I showed you those 2 Mont Blanc pens, and they were sort of the creme de la creme. But before that, I've still got 2 original Parker pens. They're lovely. But he was an interesting fellow.
Oh yes, very. Actually, I was just astonished at what Parker Pens did, because they used some of their profits to institute sort of fellowships and that sort of thing. In their day, they were a very innovative, perhaps is the wrong word, but they were certainly very involved in the community, which is very good to hear. Yeah,
very interesting. Yeah, lovely.
Right. Well, thank you very much for forgiving me for ignoring you on Wednesday and for coming on this morning.
I'll be sitting waiting with bated breath next Wednesday to join you.
Indeed. As a matter of fact, you were very gentle with me. Other people were, where the hell was Mark?
I thought you said, thank the Lord he's not here. Thank the Lord he's not here.
No, people love your look backs to remind people of the swan wet vestas that you did today. The sort of thing is I've forgotten all about those. You remind people, but it's the familiarity. I remember in school. We had Archie Hollis was his name, was the English teacher, and he had been in the war and so on and so forth, and back newly teaching again. But he said in one class, he said, the thing is that he said, you all listen to the Archers. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He said, when Doris Archer's kettle goes, half the country stops and says, I've got a kettle just like that.
Yeah, how true is that? That's fantastic.
We'll see you Wednesday.
Yes, great. Have a lovely weekend, Keith, and it's lovely to see you back in health. We're all very concerned about you, and you're a fantastic guy. So keep well and have a lovely weekend.
It's very kind of you. I hope that it was just a little aberration.
I'm sure it was.
I feel all right now. Touch wood.
Touch wood.
Cheers. Bye, Mark. Well, there we are. I think what we'll do is we'll see if whether we can get hold of Melissa without breaking stride. It'll be rather nice if we can. And let's try it. And the subject TV. And let's hope that we can go off to New York. And Melissa wasn't available last week because her boss said, "Hey, we need you to do some work." And indeed, quite rightly, she went and did some work for, as they say, in her day job. I think that one of the things about our lineup and Mirador Television is that they're very terribly experienced people and very knowledgeable. We've got good experiences. Melissa worked with me, or I worked with her, is in the 1990s on an American program, Coast to Coast American program. I was the London anchor and she was in New York. And it was a very good business program. But she had been in the business about 10 years before that. And then from doing that program, she'd also become a very accomplished, a legal beagle, and was associated with one of the leading asset banks in New York, where she still is. Very talented lady. Good morning.
Good morning, Keith. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And you?
Okay, I hear you were talking about how talented I am to work for an asset bank. I'm like, oh God.
I know, you only heard part of it. I was saying you were talented and that's where you'd worked your way towards.
Oh, good, very good.
Talking about your abilities as a broadcaster.
Oh yeah. Talk about those asset banks. It's funny. We came out recently with our numbers. Yeah, let's not talk about the numbers.
Were they not good?
Well, it's always so complicated. We all like to complicate the money game. Yeah, there's so many different layers, and I know I have my own opinion as to what should be done. I'm a very conservative person, not in a sense of not taking risks in the markets, but I'm a true believer in owning the market, owning the U.S. economy, not taking taking on these crazy alternative investments. And I know that seems to be very popular because when we were last year, we were in a period where both equities and bonds were down at the same time. It was a very unique time. And of course, the sky's falling down. Oh my God, we need to go into some alternative investments. Not realizing that, of course, the markets always come back. Even after the Great Depression, the markets came back. I mean, granted, it did take 25 years to recover from that, but it's just something you have to stay steady when you're investing, and you certainly have to stay steady with clients' money when you're investing. So yeah, I have my opinions. They're strong opinions, but
indeed, I'm happy to say, I mean, we now have probably a stronger lineup of a television operation as any in the country, perhaps any in the world. We've got 8 or 9 of us who contribute with all terrific backgrounds, all not young people, but all not only with strong opinions, but those that can be backed up with experience and knowledge. So you go ahead, my darling, and you give any opinion that you want, because I'm not so sure that we are slowly proving to be prescient.
Well, I just believe, my company was always the 10-year leader when it came to the rankings. I'm not going to divulge too much about the company, but we're not there anymore. I don't think we're in any rankings besides mediocre. I think when you're chasing assets under management, or AUM as they call it, you're chasing because it helps your stock price, makes you look good. You acquire more and more assets or more and more companies. You use more and more of your cash reserves. You put yourself in a precarious situation, for the holy grail of AUM, and you forget to serve your clients. What do your clients want at the end of the day? I always say to them, what do you want? I want to make money.
Yeah.
That's what I want at the end of the day. I want you to keep me afloat, keep me certainly ahead of inflation, take into account that I have to pay your fees and taxes, and make me money. That's it.
Yeah,
and I'm going to be honest, the computer generated funds tied to various indices, they make money, but it's just a computer that is generating the number of stocks and the kinds of stocks. So bonds, part of me would love to be involved in a steady 30-year treasury bond at 5%, which it was back in the early 2000s. But there's something about getting into government debt that bothers me. I don't like debt. I don't like when my government goes into debt. I don't want to support it. So that bothers me. Just go into bonds. Yeah, it's steady, but oh God, I don't like it. I don't like it as a vehicle. So,
well, I mean, I get very upset at the fact that some of our banks is at the moment they sniff trouble is when cap in hand to the government. But then it did not cease behaving in the most arrogant fashion.
Yeah, they're about the biggest recipients of government welfare. Now nobody realizes that, and then they want to yell at the poor little mommy with 5 children. No, it's the corporate bigwigs. You have no idea the kind of breaks they get in my country. Really, it's insane. The tax cut in 2017 was outrageous. And so what they do is, a lot in the government, they call it starving the beast. They want to lower the tax revenues and then come out to the American people and say, oh, see, we can't pay you a pension. We can't pay you health care, seniors. And because you're starving the beast. You're starving the government because you don't want to pay taxes.
Yes.
Now,
right.
I know that I know our governments waste money. I get it. But what wealthy person, what billionaire is going to go out there on the front lines and fight a war? Okay. Mm-hmm. You're paying taxes to support your military. Never forget that. Yeah. But there are billionaires out there who understand that, but our government and our Congress keeps giving them tax breaks.
Yes, never look a gift horse in the mouth. Thank you.
Oh yeah, okay, I'll take it. But they do acknowledge that they should be paying more in taxes.
So. Well, not so bad.
Yeah.
Darling, can you see behind me that this is our new home?
Where is that?
It is the Black Horse Pub. And it's about 1840, I think, and it's pubs are disappearing in Britain at a great rate of knots.
Oh,
this one is not likely to, because it is very ancient, and as a consequence, it's still like an old-fashioned pub. There's nothing
Right.
swish about this. In fact, I come here for my Sunday lunch quite often, and it's very good, and it's always jam-packed. It's got a nice little, not quite the same size as the White Hart's fire, but it's got a nice little fire, and it's a to use a phrase, a cute little pub.
Aw.
And the landlord Declan is just an absolute incredible character, and we when we knew we were leaving the White Hart, we said to him, slightly tongue in cheek, "You wouldn't like a television station in your pub, would you, Declan?" "Let's talk about it," he said. And here we are, and this is our first day here, and it's just absolutely lovely.
Now, what was his name again?
Declan.
Declan. Well, thank you, Declan. We appreciate
Yes.
you.
It's a nice name, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that.
And he's a very nice man, I may say.
Oh, very good.
I don't just say that. He's been in Lewis for quite a long time, and in this industry, and wherever you turn, you can say, Declan said, "Declan, yeah, Declan." Yeah.
Well,
Very well-known character.
I'll have to come meet this Declan and thank him for
giving
us a home.
You cannot come to Lewis again and not come to the Black Horse. It's a lovely pub, and very popular, I may say.
Well, I will say that it was the folks over at White Hart were very kind.
Yes,
they were very, very nice. So they took good care of you.
The White Hart will always have a place in our hearts. The pity is, of course, it's closed for about 9 months for refurbishment, and that can't be too drastic, by the way, because it's what's known here as a listed building.
Right.
I mean, they can't tamper with the beams or the fireplace or the sheriff's room where Tom Paine wrote most of his ideas. They can only upgrade them. So it will be more or less the same. I haven't had the privilege yet of meeting the new owners. In fact, I don't think that they've actually moved in, because this past week they've been selling the last bits and pieces. And I didn't want to have my heart torn out, so I didn't go in.
Yeah. Well, here's my question. Are they well capitalized? Because if you're not well capitalized, you're not going to do a good job.
No, I believe that they are. And in fact, one of the wealthy people, as you know, are chefs, top-class chefs. And this is a celebrity chef whose company has got half a dozen restaurants where I think you pay $25 for a little sprig of watercress.
Yes.
But
it doesn't escape me that you said dollars, so thank you. Thank you for converting that currency for me. Oh, did you notice my shirt? Did you notice my shirt? You didn't notice my shirt. So I think it might be backwards, but I'll let you know what it says. So it
smooth
says,
occasionally, rough becoming variable.
And where does that come from, Keith?
Tell me.
It comes from the shipping update.
Oh,
on the BBC.
Yes.
I love that.
Heligoland and gosh.
Oh, I love that. I love the shipping, and so my lovely my lovely boyfriend sent this to me.
Oh, it's terrific.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I mean, he, like me, I suppose, is one of the earliest memories that we have of listening to the BBC, long before there was any television, of course, was that weather report for shipping. And they very, very seriously, here is the weather forecast for shipping.
I love that. That was so
Heligoland, magic names. We hadn't a clue where they were. But
well, you know what's funny is because my son, well, he was in the Navy, but so he understands these shipping terms, and I was unaware of that knowledge. So that made me laugh. I was like, oh, okay, you understand. And that was great. That's great. So,
well, I suppose is a moment ago it was tipping it down with rain. And now it's holding off for a minute or two. But we
Okay.
not very nice weather today, I'm afraid. Not very
Yeah,
nice weather.
same here. We'll see what happens here. It was not great yesterday. It was freezing.
Oh dear.
I have to wear my coat now. I've been really resisting it. I've been saying, no, I'm not wearing my coat. I'm not doing it. A sweater, a jumper will do. A jumper will do. No.
Oh no, you got. We haven't actually spoken to you because last week, as I was explaining to people, is that the boss had said he wanted your presence, and
Yes.
that you had to
Yes.
provide it.
It was
Haven't
actually
really
it was
spoken to you.
UK.
Sorry.
It was UK, the UK office.
Ah, that
So
that
yes,
accounted for the strange times. Yes.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
you haven't had a chance to bring us up to date on the Halloween celebrations because you told us what was going to happen. Did it happen?
What happened? Let's see. Oh yeah, the little children were out having fun. They didn't take all my candy. I wanted them to
No.
take my candy because otherwise I'll eat it. They didn't take it all. I was disappointed in them. I think they were just trying to be polite. Next time I'm going to put a sign, please take all the candy right now, like now.
But you also said the costumes that people wore were absolutely superb. Were they up to snuff?
Yeah, there were a lot of zombies out there, believe it or not. A lot of zombies. Yeah, the girls were all dressed as Barbie or black cats. Okay, ladies, can we come up with something a little different than Barbie? Um, yeah, and I think I had told you one of the costumes I used to wear. Well, we won't repeat it. Um, but yeah, so it was a lot of fun. It really really was, and it I don't know. I mean, they still have the decorations out there. There's still skeletons out there. It's like people stop, just stop.
Yes, it's like Christmas decoration just stood up in March. Yeah.
Well,
Actually, I am shocked to say that I can't remember where I know is in one of the coffee shop chains. Is that the Christmas tree is now up. And I mean, how many weeks is it away for Christmas? Almost 8 weeks till Christmas, and the Christmas
I
tree.
know.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, isn't it?
And the problem is, by the time Christmas rolls around, you're sick of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, actually, in my case, I spent all my money. Forget Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, I'm about to spend all my Christmas money on Vinnie Verano. You know who Vinnie Verano is?
no.
Vinnie Verano is my Buick, my car.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
Today, I'm going to Buick and they're going to take all my Christmas money to put new brakes on the car. Yay! I hope Vinny appreciates it. His name
Yes.
it's a Verano. It's a Buick Verano, so his name is Vinny.
I, I can just see Connor's face. That's her son, by the way. Connor's face when he looks under the tree on Christmas morning and sees his mother's car's brakes.
The old brakes. Hey, give me those old brakes. Don't you take my old brakes.
Good morning. Yes, it's just a delivery man. That's the first sign of life in the pub so far.
Oh, I thought
We're
it was
about an
Declan.
hour away from opening time, you see.
Oh, okay.
We've timed it perfectly so that we finish broadcasting just before ready to throw open the doors.
Oh, that's good.
Not that I would worry if they threw open the doors while we were still here, but we have to feel our way.
Right. That's true. That's true. Well, I'm glad we found a new home. That's
Indeed.
great.
Now,
Very good.
we've got a few minutes. Do your usual and bring us up to date with what's going on in the States.
With what's going on in the States, well, there's a lot of turmoil in the States, as I'm sure there is everywhere.
Yes.
I don't know that I necessarily want to get into it. It's Friday, and it's a distressing topic. There's just a lot of, let's just say there's a lot of police presence everywhere in New York because there's been a lot of disruption, taking over of buildings, taking over the train station. So what they do is they really try to get ahead of it And so Grand Central is filled with law enforcement right now
Uh,
when we, on the trains.
yeah.
But yeah, it's a tough topic to discuss, and
Well, I mean that's good enough. I mean, we know that
that's enough.
that you're having problems similar to our own. I don't know whether you've been following what's happening here, but there is a big row between the government and the head of the Metropolitan Police, Scotland
What's
Yard.
happening? What's been happening?
There is the threat of a big march in support of Gaza. Is expecting up to 1 million people, and the veterans have said.
So wait, no, wait a second. Is it pro Hamas?
Yes.
Why would you be pro Hamas?
Well, because people simplify it in their means,
But
in their minds.
They chopped babies' heads off, and they killed 1,400 people, if not more. They still took people hostage.
Yeah.
Why in the world and they've been attacking Israel for years and years and years and years and years. And by the way, maybe they don't realize that the Hamas covenant, all they want to do is kill Jews. That's all they want to do. That's it.
Yes.
How in the world do you make peace with that? And the Palestinian people decided to go along with them. Why did you do that? Did they do such a great job for you?
Melissa, it just shows, doesn't it, that what we've been preaching for a long time is that you have to keep on and on and on with communication to make people understand what the hell's going on, because all they do is they just think forcefully.
Why would you? So it's a pro-terrorist rally? Please think a little bit. Think a little bit. You need to know history. You need to understand actually what's going on. Hamas, the Hamas leaders, we have pictures of them sitting on their private jets while their people are poor. Tell me why you would want to support them.
Well, of course, you see, the trouble is it all descends into irrationality, because if you would to speak to an extreme Muslim, he would say, "Oh well, the Israelis do exactly the same thing." You see, that's how they justify.
We don't do that. They don't do that. They don't do that. They don't go in and purposely kill babies. They told everybody to evacuate. They told them.
Yes.
And Hamas wants to keep them there as a shield.
Yeah, I'm not saying what the reality is. I'm saying this is how people think. And
they're not thinking.
Yeah, and it is up to us to try to present the facts to them. But basically, because there is this march which is threatening to disrupt our own Remembrance Day services, is the Prime Minister called in the Chief of Police and said, "Look, I want you to make sure, perhaps ban this march." And he said no. So there is a big political hoo-ha, and as one newspaper said this morning, and its headline is "On your head be it." So if in fact it does get out of control and so on, I would imagine that we've got an ex-police chief. But that doesn't help very much to stem the thing. But I mean, you're talking about New York being almost locked down. You
can't listen. Free speech is free speech, but once you start going over the line, stopping rail services, and you're going into criminal activity, trespassing, defacing property, you need to be arrested.
That's right. I couldn't agree more. In fact, to me, free speech comes with responsibility. I mean, it's like when I was training journalists in the Balkans, they had been so used to being told what to do by the authoritarian rulers that once they were out from under that, they thought they could do anything. They didn't realize that when they started to report in a free sense, that came with a sense of responsibility. Well, that escapes an awful lot of people who join various factions or who have thoughts about things. Is responsibility goes out of the window. And that's the sad thing about our society.
Yeah, that is the sad thing. But, once you start getting into criminality, you're a criminal. I'm sorry. That's it. And you do not sit there. How is free speech, I want to kill you? How is that free speech? I want to kill you.
Yeah.
You're Jewish and I want to kill you. How is that free speech? Because if
Well,
you say something like that to me, I'm thinking that you're threatening my life.
yeah, yeah. Well, I take slightly a different view because I did a rant the other morning and forgot to turn the microphone on for part of it. I don't have. I mean, I think you know me well enough. I don't have isms. I don't understand feminism, sexism, ism, ethnicity. I don't understand why people can take a view about somebody else for all those reasons. But I'm very rare. I don't find too many people that understand that position. So I take it on my own and I get on with it. But frankly, I don't care which side of the fence anybody sits. Is as you say, if they behave in a criminal fashion, they're criminals, and it's that simple.
Yeah, but if you're threatening somebody's life, come on, guys, seriously, do you want that done onto you? You want me to come and try and do the same thing to you or somebody else, or have a rally against you? How are you going to feel? You're going to feel threatened. You're going to feel scared. Sure. Absolutely.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, you threaten my family.
There's extremists on both sides stoke the fires. That's the problem. I mean, I do remember once, Melissa, people asked me whether I felt threatened in my time in Northern Ireland, and the answer is not in the sense that people think that you walk along on a day-to-day basis worrying about it. But I was once on the Shankill Road, which is a prod area, and for some reason, I can't remember why, I had to talk to what is known as a corner boy. In other words, he was an extreme Protestant. And when he looked at me and said to me, "You get off the Shankill, otherwise I'll make sure that you never walk again," is I can remember the chill going down my spine. It is chilling when people threaten you like that, it is not a nice feeling, whether they mean it or whether they don't. And how the hell do you know that people don't mean it?
Right.
Yes,
yeah. Well, here.
Oh, what's that?
Mace.
Ah, yeah.
Why should I have to carry that? Why do I have to carry that to the city where I work? Why do I have to carry some form of protection? Why? No, we don't need to be doing stuff like that.
No, I agree.
But this is why I'm scared in the city.
It's the reason that I didn't know what you were talking about when you held that up is I've never seen one before. I don't know. The unfortunate thing is I don't know anymore what's happened is happening in London because I don't go there as frequently as I used to.
Right.
It's not happening in the provinces. Now, don't misunderstand. There is violence and there's nastiness outside London, but not to the point where I think that people are carrying mace around. I'm not actually sure of that. I'm going to check this week. And I'll let you know next week whether, in fact,
it could be that during this time of heightened the tensions going on, a city person, if they just want to just get to their place of business, but you've got very violent protesters, you're going to be scared.
Absolutely.
All I want to do is go to work. Can you leave me alone? I need to get on my train to go home. Would you please leave me alone? Okay, I just want to get on my train. I'm not participating in anything. I just want to go home. But then if they stop you, what are you going to do?
Yes, right. I have to say, Melissa, that I'm never going to carry a mace because if some young lady would attack me, I'd be delighted.
I don't think if a big burly young man were to attack you, you might change your
that
tune
would worry
a little
me.
bit.
Then I would need the mace.
Well, I got to tell you, some of the women are pretty crazy. They're loony. They really are. They're really, some of them have just gotten crazy. It's like, ladies, please think a little bit. Think.
I mean, I say things on this program, and then I go out into the street in the hope that I don't bump into somebody that actually heard me say something. But the thing that I don't understand is why good-looking young ladies who actually buy fashionable clothes and so on wear boots that look as if they belong to a miner. I mean, big, ugly boots.
That's
Yeah.
the style. It's like it's become like
Yeah.
they're these big, huge platforms now. Like some of the platforms have come back, but on the boots.
Yes. And yet the funny thing is that you read the newspapers and they show pictures of people at awards and different occasions and so on, and all these film stars and so on say, well, all wear elegant shoes.
Right. Yeah,
You know,
but now they're I think
why is the hoi polloi wearing these bloody black?
because the
boots?
fashion houses are putting them out, and whatever the
Oh, I
fashion
see.
house puts out, gee, we're going to wear combat boots.
Yeah.
Really, ladies?
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
Even the men. I mean, I would laugh if a man came in with combat boots, with the platform combat boots. I'd be like, "What are you wearing, dude?" You know?
but actually, I mean, I wear rather nice shoes. That's the one thing I do. Wear nice shoes, very very traditional, and so on. And 90% of women would say, "Oh, I do like your shoes."
Right.
Well, why
Yeah.
don't you
I
like
just,
your own bloody shoes?
I just wear. I wear shoes that don't scream anything. They're just protection for my feet. I don't really. I don't identify with my shoes. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah,
I
it
am
does.
not my
Yeah,
shoes.
yeah. I mean,
Look at me. I have nice shoes, so I'm a good person. I'm a really great person because I got nice shoes. I don't, I'm older and I'm kind of gotten away from that. If I do slip back into it, which and occasionally I do. Oh, see, look, I have a Ted Baker bag. Oh, everybody take a look. See, it says Ted Baker. I say to myself, are you serious, Melissa? Really? Yeah,
well,
because we can
actually,
all fall into that.
Melissa, I actually do identify with my shoes, and when I walk down the street, I wonder why people are staring because I'm not wearing anything else.
Oh, yeah. So you're really trying to release that identification with clothing. Okay, all right, that's good.
Are you off to work today or not?
Actually, no, I'm off to give all my money to General Motors.
Oh,
Yay!
hey.
I'll be basically spending the time at the shop with Vinny Verano. So I'll just take my computer and I'll work there.
Right. Is it Black Friday?
No, not yet. Black Friday is the Friday after our Thanksgiving. Our Thanksgiving's on the 23rd.
Oh, it's a couple of weeks yet.
Yeah, Black
Yeah,
Friday.
most
I don't
people
go out
spend
on
it
Black
too.
Friday either. I just don't.
Yeah, I don't blame you about it.
No.
Okay, we'll see you this time next week.
Yes, very good.
Good.
Okay.
Excellent. Have
Have a
good
lovely week.
As usual, very feisty and wonderful conversation with you. I always look forward to it.
Yeah, it's always fun. Always fun, Keith. Great to see you again.
See you
And
soon.
bye,
Oh,
Declan.
see you in a week.
Declan.
Oh, right. I shall tell him. He's not here yet, but I shall tell him that you spoke to him and want to see him at some stage.
Yes. Take care, Keith.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, there we are, Melissa Conti from New York, and usual feisty self. That's it for this morning, and we've had a good effort from the time that we began at 8 o'clock. I feel very comfortable in the Black Horse. It's absolutely terrific. It's now 11:05, and there has been some noise and activity behind us, but I think that it is gearing up for people to come and have their first drink of the day. It must be 12 o'clock, I think, that they open. So we promised to finish by 11. It's just a few minutes afterwards. So we're going to say toodle pip. Just before we go, I'm actually going to play new a new intro because I rather like it. I hope that you do. So here it is. Lewis in the Black Horse Pub. Well, there we are. It's the end of another week. We'll be back on Monday morning. And just remember that this is a special weekend. If you can, get to a memorial service in your town, wherever you may be. But if you think of those who gave their lives, lest we forget. That's the one thing we must not do. We must not forget. Huge sacrifice. But as the saying goes, we gave our todays for your tomorrow. I'm grateful. I hope you are. Toodaloo.